So, a lot of times we try to figure out how can we have peace in a crisis. How I can tell you to have peace in a crisis is to be busy. Be busy doing things, be busy working. Don't sit around with an occupied mind. Come up with a plan. Come up with a plan where you will study. Come up with a plan where you put some things into place that will help you grow spiritually. So tonight we're going to talk about some things that will help you grow spiritually. So if I ask you a question about, let's say crisis creates an opportunity for creativity. We ended with that last week. How can crisis help you be creative? Does anybody that want to weigh? How can crisis help you be creative? Anybody know? Have y'all been coming up with some creative ideas? How to be creative? What about? I mean, just coming up with new ideas, new concepts. I think sometimes we forget about the preparation process. Preparation process, number one, before you go into a crisis, you should always be prepared because the Bible tells us what? Be sober, be vigilant. Tell us to don't be caught by surprise. Am I right? So there is a way that when we go into a crisis that we should be prepared. And another way is you're not going to come out. This is what I want you thinking about, and how you can start planning for that. When I say that, let's look at Exodus 3 and 21. Exodus 3 and 21. I chose this particular scripture, but there are many other scriptures in there that talks about how God bring you out with something. Crisis, famine, different things happen. My favorite saying is you're not going to be at a loss. You're always going to be, you never lose, you always what? You never lose, you always learn. You don't come out of anything with a loss. I think a lot of time we focus on how much we've lost in a crisis, how much we've lost in a bad situation in our life or a bad time in our life, but how many times have we thought about what did I come out with? You know, I came out with something, I learned something. And more than that, and we're going to talk about that, about how you come out of things, because even, I want to go back to this, and but I'm just going to touch on the surface a little bit, because I didn't really look at the repercussions about what happened when you don't keep certain laws. Take, for instance, sometimes I used to have, I want to focus on go forward on some things, even when, if you go back in the biblical days, even when they came out of slavery. When they came out of slavery, when a person told you, take for instance, in some of the biblical type slavery, when somebody came out, like they was working for you, they was your servant, after so many days you're supposed to release them. After you release them, the scripture also tell you, don't send them away empty. Don't send them away broke. Don't send them away the same way they came to you. Because you have to remember that a lot of times people, in the Bible, what they call slaves was really employees or workers. So that means that if somebody had a debt and they could not suffice that debt, then they would go work for somebody else to pay off the debt. But on the year of Jubilee, you're supposed to release them. And the Bible says that when you release them, don't send them away from you empty. Even your servants, even people that leave you, don't send them away from you empty. So I'm thinking about even, with us, with our ancestors being in slavery. They told them they was going to give them what? 40 acres and a mule, but then when you start studying, you'll find out that most of them never got that. And so that means that was a law that was violated, and a lot of times the people that perpetrated the law was Christian slave owners. But the Bible also states that when somebody is leaving, you don't send them away empty, send them away with something. So here's the scriptures kind of building up on that, because when they came out of Egypt, at this particular scripture, when they came out of Egypt, they did not come out empty-handed. Let's look at Exodus 3 and 21. And I will give this people favor. What's the first thing he gives you? Favor. The first thing he gives you is favor. I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. So anytime you see where it mentions the Egyptians, it actually equates to a system. The Egyptian, which represents the world system. So anytime they came out of Egypt, which they was in bondage to Egypt, they was coming out of a system. And that system was a system of bondage, where they worked hard and they didn't get paid. They invested in Egypt. They built Egypt to one of the most strongest empires that there was, but they did not get paid. So what God gave, the first thing is, God will give you favor. And the second thing is, the second part is, the scripture says, it shall come to pass that when you go out, you should not go out empty. So when we are in this situation where we are now, because whether we have stimulus money, whether we have other things happening to us, it's still considered a family. It's still considered a downtime. Am I right? So when you come out of this, you should not come out empty. You should come out with something. I want to kind of weigh in on that word empty. Because if you just look at empty, you think, okay, what does that mean? You should not come out of there without being successful. When you come out of something, you should be what? Come out with success. How can I come out of a bad situation with success? Because I learned a new way of doing it. I learned something that didn't work. Even if it's on a job, even if it's on a situation, you learn something. So you should come out successful. And another word that empty means gift. You should come out with a gift. They should give you something. You should come out as a gift. And so even when you're talking about that word empty, especially at this time, when you go over to Deuteronomy, after they talked about the law, after they talked about established the law of unleavened bread and all of that, When you look at, I think from Deuteronomy 15 to 16, if you want to study on that, around Deuteronomy 15 to 16, but it's talking about this time of year. It said none should appear, when it said that none should appear before me how? Empty. Deuteronomy said none should appear before me empty, or none should not appear before me without a gift, especially in the unleavened bread. And another thing is, if I want to equate the word success to that, another thing that was talking about, you shouldn't come before me if you haven't been successful. You don't bring me nothing. There was a scripture on that, I'll find it for you. The God said, if I haven't blessed you, then don't give me nothing. And that's how God operates. God said, bless me as I blessed you. If you don't feel like I blessed you, if I haven't given you anything, then don't give me anything back. And so, come before me with success. Why do not people have success when God has given every man a measure of faith? You should be able to produce. That's what John 15 is talking about, production. It's talking about production. It's talking about systems. It's talking about things that work. The whole talent, the whole story about the talents, 1, 5, 1, 3, and 1, 1, the whole talent is about, did you become successful with what I given you? What has God given you? Are you being successful with whatever he's given you? Yours may not be as much as some people, but if he gives you a little bit, are you successful with that? How well did you invest the little that God gave you? That's the whole story about the talent. Everybody want to talk about how much money each one of them got. But remember, as I said Sunday, he gave them how? According to the several ability, what they was able to handle. So that means God blesses you on your work ethic. He blesses you on how well you invest stuff. One of the things that I can think about now, if you give your children some money and they come back to you like in the next day asking for money, what do you ask them? Well, what did you do with that money I gave you? And you tell them, I'm not going to keep giving you money to do what? To throw away. Because they're not managing it well. Do you not want your children to manage their money well? Right? So the same thing, do God want you to manage what he gives you well? So that's one of the things that, the reason why we don't have a lot of success or more success than others, number one, because of our investment, and number two, because, well, number one, I should have flipped that, number one, because of management, and number two, because of investment. So how many times people are afraid to make investments? We have not been, I can't say for sure about every African American. I really venture away from saying African Americans because it's not all African Americans, but most people, whether they're African American or white or Japanese or whatever, most of them, if they're not having a level of success, it's because of management and they haven't been taught how to invest what they have. But you'll find out other cultures will have, specifically the Asians. The Asians, when they come up, those children come up learn about what? Investing in what? What do they invest in? Do they invest in themselves first or what do they invest in first? They invest in their families first. They're going to get one house. And I've seen them do it because I remember people used to have a store over here across the street from Red Ball. They had that store over there. All of them would work that store. And when that store becomes successful and makes some money and all of them stayed in the same house, after that, they would go and buy another store. And the other person that was next in line would run that store. They did that because they bought one over there in Long Beach somewhere. And then the other store that you see on the corner now, go by the car wash, that was a spring out from one of the people that used to be here. So they invest, this is what the Bible told us to do, even in the book of Acts. When they came together in the upper room, they had one purpose in mind. One purpose in mind. And that is what? To preach the gospel and to be filled with the Holy Spirit. They had one purpose. And even the Bible, if you don't study, especially when you look at the Tower of Babel, you would think that God didn't want them to be successful. And that's not the truth. He did want them to be successful. And that's why, some of you have heard this before, but I go over it again just for clarity. When God said, come, he said, come let us see what man is building this tower. And he said that he confused their language. He said there's nothing, this is what God said about it. There's nothing that they can't do if they're one. He said there's nothing that man can't achieve. There's nothing that they can't accomplish. There's nothing that they cannot accomplish. There's nothing that a group of people cannot accomplish if they work as one. But at the Tower of Babel, the reason why he confounded their language because their motive was wrong. The first thing they said, come let us make a name for ourselves. So that was automatically what? Wrong. Because you don't make a name for yourself. Number two, they said at least we be scattered over all the earth. Well, God told them to go and subdue and conquer the whole earth and establish a kingdom. So they want to be in one place, make a name for themselves. That's why God confounded their language. Could that be why we have a lot of confusion among our people sometimes? Because we don't have the right purpose, we don't have the right motive. That's right. Amen. And you know what I'm saying? That's why we can't get along with the people because we don't have the right purpose and the right motive. And we ever stop to examine that idea instead of saying, I get, and we hear this all the time. Why is it that every culture, can be successful except for our culture?
Has there been a study on that?
No, I don't know for sure, but I know one thing. I know one thing. We don't have the same purpose in mind. Like yeah, we don't have the same purpose. I think everybody has. I'm not saying that everybody has to be alike, but our main purpose should be for the success of the people as a whole. Because also, what you have to look at over the book of Acts, it says that they all had all things common, which means there was not a one that was lacking among them in the book of Acts. They made sure that everybody had. That's what we call today. We call it equality. Equality. What is equality? Come on, y'all talk to me. Y'all educate me. What is equality? Equality is when everybody's equal. Everybody has the same. Everybody's equal. Am I right? So, and if they give a scripture over and over again. If you exalt your brother, then you'll be exalted what? In due time. And then he says that if you haven't been faithful over another man's, see, that's what we fail at a lot of time. He said, if you haven't been faithful over another man, why would I give you your own? That means, God said, I'm going to test your faithfulness on how you manage for somebody else. If you manage well for somebody else, then you're gonna be right there in place. And I always tell my personal testimony when it comes down to things like that. When I was with Pastor Capers, I was faithful. I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't always agree, but one thing I learned, in hindsight, I'm not the pastor. I'm not always supposed to agree with some of the things that he's saying. Why? Because he was seeing from a different mindset than I was seeing from.
Amen.
I'm seeing from a minister's point of view or a personal point of view. I think this, I think that. But he was seeing from what? A pastor's point of view. And then when I became a pastor, I saw exactly what he was talking about.
It didn't mean that he was wrong.
No. Yeah, it didn't mean he was wrong. It mean I had a different view. It's just like if you go on your job. How many people go on your job and you're the boss? And you got workers trying to say certain things. They're seeing from a worker's point of view. But they don't see all this administration stuff that you have to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't see all the other work. Take, for instance, let's bring it down to locality. Let's bring it down to your house. Your children don't know what you have to go through to make deals, make ends meet, what we call them, make deals. All they see is what they need. Well, this is what I think, Mama. But you ain't got to get up in the morning to go to work. You ain't got to pay these bills. You're not looking at what I'm looking at. You see what I'm saying?
Amen.
So that's why everybody is successful in their own area of expertise, in their own area. That's why God put different people. Didn't he say he put different people in the body? To do what? To accomplish the purpose. But he even told you, even the smallest member is important.
That's right.
So you're looking at this person up here, but God said even that one that don't say anything is just as important as the head.
That's right.
And we use that example all the time. Stop that little toe. How many times you see people that lost their middle toe and they walk with a limp? You wouldn't think, other than that, you'd never pay attention to that little toe, would you?
Right.
Cut it off. What is it about? Now, this is one word I want you to write down. I want you to write this down because this is what got your success. It's about one word, and I just got that from the Holy Spirit. You know what it's about? Balance. What is it about? Balance. That little toe creates a balance in the body, even though it's small. So that's what we have to do in our lives. Because if you look at the book of Proverbs, it says the unbalanced scale is an abomination unto the Lord.
Unbalanced what?
An unbalanced scale. It was talking about weights. Take for instance, he was saying that, especially in the book of Proverbs, what they used to weigh things out when they give you money, so they used to weigh it. And they pay you according to weight. And so sometimes what he was saying is unbalanced, it's an abomination with everything should have a balance. And so if we equate that and we get revelation from it, then in your life there has to be a balance. You can't do all church and not do all natural things and deal with your life too. Some people, all they care about is going to church 24/7. Every time you turn around, they got a program. Okay. You know what I'm saying? They got a program. And I've heard people say, about they'll be big. I can stay at church every day if they let me. Well, that's unbalanced. How are you going to take care of your natural life? How are you going to take care of things if you do that? God wants you to have a balance. That's why he created us the way we do. And a lot of times you may not see this as being important. How many people have you ever had your equilibrium off?
Amen.
The fluid in your ear.
Amen.
What happens when you have fluid in your ear?
You're all balanced.
You be walking sideways. You be talking, what's wrong with me? And all the thing is, you have fluid in your ear, but you wouldn't think that little bit of fluid would cause you to be off balance. So one thing that I can take out of the Bible study today, how do I create a balance in my life? When I'm coming out of this here, should give you an opportunity, this downtime should give you an opportunity to evaluate a balance. Okay, where am I out of balance at? The same thing about that car. If you're driving that car and that wheel is bouncing, what's wrong? It needs what? Balance. And that body's rough. When it's out of balance, am I right?
That's right.
So, are you making your life rough because you don't have a balance in your life? Won't that work right there? I think that'll work.
So we need a balance.
You need a balance. You need to create a balance in your life. You have to have a balanced diet. They tell you, and that's what they say, you have to have a what? Balanced diet. Yeah. You have to have balanced time to rest. Some of them resting too much and some of them not resting enough.
That's right.
Not getting enough sleep. What happens when you don't get enough sleep? You're grouchy, your body don't work right, you're tired, you don't want to do nothing, you want to say nothing. Yeah. And what happens when you're at work all the time? If you're at work all the time, things are being left undone at home. You missed out on life. You ought to spend all your time. Why? Because how did you get out of balance? A lot of times we get out of balance because we're trying to keep up with the Joneses. Can we get out of balance by trying to keep up with the Joneses?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You're
going above your income. If you go above your income, that's out of balance.
That's out of balance.
That's out of balance.
Yes, sir.
Because you're going above your income.
Yes.
You're going above. You spending out more than what's coming in.
That's right.
Does that create an unbalance? Yes, it does. So we have to do what?
Balance.
We have to have balance. Okay. Let's look at Deuteronomy 8:17. Deuteronomy 8:17. Deuteronomy 8:17. This is people think they make their own way. You ain't made your own way. You ain't made your own way. Deuteronomy 8:17, King James Version says, "And thou shalt remember in thine heart." And not say it in thine heart. My power and the might of mine hand had got me this wealth. I worked hard for this money. I did it on my own and nobody helped me do that. How many times you heard that? Sometimes we say that without thinking.
Yeah, I done said that myself.
You done said that yourself? Yeah, I'll say that. A lot of us have probably said that. I worked hard for this, but look what
I said, I made this money.
Yeah, I made this money. I did this, but look what the Bible says. It said, don't say that in your heart. my power in my hand have gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that gives thee power to get wealth.
There it is right there.
There it is right there, plain and simple.
Right there.
Is the Bible true?
Yes, it is.
And who give us power to get wealth?
Nobody but God.
Nobody but God give us the power to get wealth. Don't talk about what you done did.
That's right.
Because if I snap my finger, you don't have to get up in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that the power of God?
Yeah.
Come on, y'all know the song. He woke me up this morning, started me on my way. If I hadn't been touched by the Lord, I would be up this morning. Well, what if he didn't touch you according to that principle?
I'll be still laying there.
Amen. So he said, don't say in your heart that you got your own wealth.
Well, the time clock woke me
got.
up.
Ma'am?
Sometimes they said the time
The time clock woke me up. Yeah. But then it says, but first of all, I want you to stop right there. He give you the power to get wealth.
Well,
He give you the power to get wealth?
Well.
So why do people want us to be poor? Because God give us power to get wealth. And I'm going to break that word power down in a second. And then he says, that he may establish his what? Covenant, which he swore unto thy father as it is this day. God made a covenant a long time ago that he was going to fulfill. God will never break his promise. He made a promise to them a long time ago. And he's still fulfilling that promise to us, Abraham's seed. Still fulfilling. Why? He don't say, well, they got old, now I'm going to break the promise. No, when he made a promise, it was for all of us.
yeah, man.
Now, let's look at that word power. A lot of times, sometimes we get that word power mixed up. You know some power, Lord? Power, Lord. We think there's power right there, hollering and running around the church and spalling out, oh, the power on me. Yeah, y'all heard me say that before. You go to a Michael Jackson concert or Luther Vandross concert, the power fall on me, Luther touch him. I'm kind of like old school. Oh, yeah. But guess what that power means? God gives us the ability to get wealth. He gives all of us what? The ability to be successful.
Everybody, Pastor?
Everybody. Because God has dealt to every man a measure of faith. Because that would make him unfair.
Okay. Also, it says always gonna be poor among us.
Because people would not use their ability, like we talked about the talents. One had 5, one had 3, one had 1. Everybody's not going to use that ability, but everybody has the ability to be successful if they use it. How many people do you know out there on the corner that's not doing what they? You can see them. I can see talent in all people.
Yeah.
And you be wondering, why don't you use this to make some money?
Yeah.
Because they don't have the mind to do it because they haven't been trained. Okay? Yeah. Everybody, and God has given everybody an equal playing ground.
Yeah.
And some of us, sometimes, we just have modified our behavior. Sometimes we don't want to work with nobody or work for nobody. You got to work for somebody before you can get to your body. To your personal thing, why? That's how you learn. Because if you can manage another man, God said, you did a good job helping them. I'm gonna bless you with your own. Because you have a good work ethic. And so remember, that goes back to what I was talking about. He gave them according to their several ability. Now you see, he give you. Remember, let's go look at Deuteronomy. He said he gave you the ability to do what?
Get wealth.
To get wealth. Now, when you go to Luke, when he's talking about the talents, he said he gave them according to their several ability. Some people will get an ability and increase it. Some people learn something. Some people learn how to build a birdhouse and discover if I can build a birdhouse, I can build a house.
Amen.
Huh? But what happened? That means they took the skill that they had and what?
Expanded.
Expanded. Some people can make a doggone good potato pie. Like that lady, I like Steve Harvey talking about that potato pie. He said the store wasn't making no money where she was working. She said, well, let me sell these pies. And now her name is Mary. What's her name? Mary something. She got stores all over, got over 100 some stores all over the country for making that what? That one pie. She took that ability to make a pie. Then people started buying it, so she started making more pies. Huh? And so that's ability. How many of you have ability or talent or skill that you have not just kept building?
Well, Pastor, you said one time you have to be around somebody with wealth in order to get it. Okay, to me, the wealth be with the wealth.
No, I didn't say you have to be around somebody with wealth to get it.
Oh,
You got the woman, right? You got the woman.
You can start with nothing and become wealthy. It's all about your investment.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? The wealth, the wealthy people, you got wealthy people. I don't want you to just always think about wealthy people being around wealthy people.
Yes, sir.
Because iron sharpens iron. You don't find wealthy people hanging out with people that's talking broke all the time. Because sooner or later, if 9 people around you broke, then you're going to be number 10.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand about wealthy people, understand investment. There's a lot of wealthy people that's paying money to nonprofit organizations. That's how wealthy people take care. They may not be around you, but they do what? It helps them and it helps the community. Because what? You have wealthy people that pay to nonprofit organizations, they call it tax shelter.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what, Pastor, I have found out that now I have the ability to work in my yard.
Oh yeah, you can work on it.
That's right.
You came up with some new ideas, huh?
My dad chopping and digging and building. And other time I said, I can't do that.
Yeah, but now you found time to do it. And guess what? You know, and sometimes
And I enjoy it. Stay out just around 8 o'clock.
so that's you enjoy it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And give you peace
Yeah.
in a troubled time,
Yeah.
and keep your mind off everything else.
Yeah.
And guess what else you don't see? It's helping your health because
Yeah.
you're active.
And by the time I got through finished all that, check a hot bag, I'm ready for bed.
You may go to bed. You ain't got time to be sitting up all night. Why? Because you was busy.
I was busy.
You see my point?
I
It's easy.
didn't think about calling Sue either.
Ma'am? Huh?
Wealth doesn't always mean
Money.
money.
No. Wealth means well balanced. Wealth, you know what it is? When you talk about wealth, you hear especially with the Jewish custom, they always say shalom, which means peace, peace and prosperity.
Yeah.
Wealth means nothing missing, nothing broken. I got my money. I got something left over. My bills paid.
And I got my help.
I got my health. I got my joy.
Yeah.
See, wealth is more than just money.
And
We look at wealth
yeah.
as things.
Yes, amen.
Some of you, no, I'm gonna say this. Some of you is worth more than you value yourself at.
Amen. Amen.
Come on.
You're giving yourself value based on your bank account. But you know how they count wealth? In the assets.
All the assets.
Your car, your house, your furniture, your chair, your shoes, your weed.
All right.
That's how much you add all of that up. That's your wealth. That's your net wealth.
But they don't add wigs into that.
Yes, they do.
They do?
If you can't make no money with yourself,
Yeah.
okay then. That,
So
that
I should stop giving them away, right?
sell
Sell them.
it. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna say that. If the Lord tell you to give them, but if that's your business, you can't give away your profit.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I call it, especially with the work that I do, I call it priming the pump. Anybody? I don't know if y'all know about priming the pump. Some of y'all, I found out like Betty and Betty and some of the other ones may know about priming the pump because we weren't always on the water system. They have a pump on the outside of your house. You had to go pour some water and they'll do what? To get the pump and prime it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Bible calls it sow and seed. So what I started to do when I had the Mighty Men of Valor, I took senior citizens, people with disabilities, and single mothers, which considered some of them fit in the widow's mold, and I cut their yard. I used to say for free. I didn't cut it for free. I don't say I cut it for free no more. I say I cut it with no cost to them. It
So they give you a
cost me
donation?
something.
Yes.
It cost me gas. It cost me equipment. It cost me time. I say no cost to them. So what I invested was me. And then from me investing me in my skills and what I do, then I was able to get some other contracts
Oh, okay.
that pay money.
Wow, what a blessing.
Yeah, that's called investment. That's one of the things about investment. If you want your company to grow, like I talked about pie, you think you got a good pie. Well, I'm gonna take this pie and give it to somebody who may have an office job, and everybody in there may say, "Oh, who made that pie?"
That's right.
It may be 3 people that work in the office, but that's 3 people that tasted your pie. And that's 3 people that may actually make a pie.
Yeah.
How much do you charge to make that pie? I got an event coming up. You know, like I always try to find small minority businesses when we have our events. I always try to find what? Small minority businesses that can cater to what we're doing. And sometimes, you know, people don't know there have been people like, take for instance, when somebody from the FDA came to one of my functions. They said, next time you have a function, let me know who that did that. I gave them that number. When they had a function, guess what? They called them and came to that function. Just by one thing. One what? Investment. And sometimes they gave me a good deal on what they do me. But what did they do for their business? I can think of other business I gave them an opportunity. I said, look, I'm in this building, not the building right now, but I was in another building. And I said, hey, she was looking for somewhere to do her catering business. She made cakes, she did all that, she just couldn't find a place. I introduced her to a guy, and now she's still there now. She do business out of that building.
Wow.
See, is that valuable?
That's
Praise
it.
the Lord.
Your knowledge and your expertise, and look, I call it.
And you're not selfish, Pastor.
No, you're not selfish. I call it people mapping. You ever do people mapping? You know what people mapping is? Relationship mapping. And that is, who am I connected to? That's connected to somebody else. That's connected to somebody else. That's value. That's why you gotta have a good relationship with people.
That's right.
Connection. You gotta have a good connection.
Like my children tell me I talk to people too much.
No.
But they
Yeah.
taught me and it brought me a lot of things.
Talking about what bought you a lot of things, and they call that what? Relationship.
Relationship.
You may have been talking to somebody that may have been down, and you don't even know. They probably thought nobody liked them. And you had a conversation with them, you talk with people, they call that what? Relationship. That's a
I talked to
relationship.
that lady who I took to the hospital to a room.
Mhm.
And I just came up with business where all of a sudden, it was 5 years later, I used them coupons and my whole family got a business for free for a whole week.
Amen. That's good. That's good.
Just talking to people.
Yeah, and I remember, just an example. Remember the guy on the street? He was this man. He didn't know he did more for me than I did for him, so to speak. This man never stopped. He had cancer. He lost his leg. I saw this man get on. That's why I said people can't give me no excuse for not working.
That's right.
This man had one leg on the school with a weed eater.
He was determined.
He was determined.
He was determined.
He cut his yard. I see him on that lawnmower that one day, even though they was on the other side, he had the thing fixed up. He can still use his lawnmower. And you know what I did? I came in. I said, "Look, sir," I said, "I cut that yard for you." He said, "How much you gonna charge?" I said, "Nothing." So you gotta
He
get nothing.
blessed you before he died.
Before he died, he left the church some money, and he left a car to me, and he left me some of the other things in his house. You see my point? Just because of act of kindness.
Yeah.
See, a lot of times you think, a lot of times people say he had to, or he or she had to doing something for nothing. No, baby, you're never doing something for nothing. You always,
Well, you got your
investing.
reward from God.
That's right. And you say that when you lend to the poor, you lend unto the Lord, He will repay. That's why if I give somebody some money, something like that, I say, well, I don't expect it back. No, you can't pay me. We gotta go pay me.
My Lord.
You understand that? And so I'm not talking about every instance. I'm talking about in some instances. That's what you have to do. You have to understand that principle.
Oh, yeah.
Now, folks think that because you got kindness and giving in your heart and stuff, and you that type of person,
You're trying to use
just
it.
a little dumb bell.
You're trying to use
But
it,
I
Pastor.
know that you ain't taking nothing from me. You taking from God.
Yeah.
That's right for me.
And that's why I know that takes us into another thing. You don't worry about, if we worry about what people thought, we'll stop doing. Let me give you a scripture on that. Be not weary and well doing. You'll weep in due season if you faint not. But I mean, if I'm worried about what people think I'm doing, I'll faint and stop investing. There is no way. The Bible says in Genesis, as long as the earth remains, there will be seed time harvest. There is no way you can plant a seed, no matter what the seed is, that it will not produce in its season.
Thank you.
That will make the whole Bible fall apart if you invest in your time, your money,
You
what
think
you do
it's
as
a
a
stopping
seed.
point sometimes, Pastor. You just can't keep
That's-
doing.
That's called wisdom. That's called wisdom. There is a stopping point because the Bible also says, this is something that a lot of people don't study out. The Bible says don't cast your pearl before the swine. And a lot of people don't know what that means when they say don't cast your pearl before the swine. What that means is don't keep giving it to something that don't change and don't produce back.
Okay.
If you give them to somebody, they should give the return. Let me say this.
So you're supposed to stop.
You're supposed to be the stopping point. Because you're giving them an opportunity. You're showing them the grace of God. Even the grace of God won't carry us. I mean, the grace of God will cover us, but God won't keep investing in you and you're not producing back to Him.
Okay, okay.
Come on, what farmer will keep putting seeds in the ground, don't get nothing back?
That's right. That's right.
You know, why you planting? Why you keep planting and ain't getting nothing back?
That's right. You'll get tired, Pastor.
Yeah.
And give up.
Let me bring it on home. What woman to keep investing in the man and he ain't getting bring it? You better go get a job, bring a check in.
Probably come home, they probably looking about that.
Y'all women know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Even men know what I'm talking about. Everything, look, we don't want to see it that way, but everything we do in life is an investment and to get a return on. If you're investing in something you're not getting a return, you need to cut it off.
That's right.
Amen.
Glory, glory.
Amen. Why? Okay, if I'm a stockbroker, why would I keep putting money into a stock that just don't give me a return?
You're going to go broke, Pastor.
There you go.
That's right.
When you keep giving to people that's not yielding a return, what'll happen to you?
You get broke.
You go broke.
I'm going to go like
And
this.
they'll still
Yeah,
be
but how many people have you thought was not going to bless you, and then somewhere down the line they came back and said, you remember you helped me out? I'm going to give you a little money. Why? That's a person that took what you gave them and then wasted. They took what you gave them and invested and produced something and brought a return back to you. And then you probably taught them to give. They probably gave some other stuff. And a lot of time, and this is the best example I have, and I saw this recently on Andy Griffith. You know, on Andy Griffith.
That's old.
And so that's an old one. But it's a good story because, you know, sometimes we think that when we're hard on people, we think it's not good for them. And they don't see it at the time. But they had this man that the man had robbed a store and Andy shot him. And he had a bum leg. So there's always going to be people on the outside that get the wrong idea. Y'all know Barney.
Yeah.
Barney said, and the man wrote a letter saying, I'm coming to make things right, to get even, or something like that. What you did, and Barney went down the wrong road. Andy, you got to do something. He's going to get you. He's going to get you, Andy. And he was training the owners and guard everybody to protect Andy. And Andy would come and say, no, I'm going to wait and see what he wants. The man told Andy, he said, well, because of what you did, even though I got shot, I had time to think about it when I was in jail. He said, I learned a skill. And I have gunshots all over some state. He said, I have about 10 gunshots. And he would bring Andy a gift, a shotgun, because he knew like hunting. He said, if you had not did what you did, even though it was a bad thing, I wouldn't be successful like I am now.
Wow. Okay, that's good. That's good.
So just because you're hard on somebody, sometimes your heart just pushed them to another level.
Amen.
Let me ask you something, Pastor. You know, I told you that when I was fixing things up with my son, you know, my storage house in the back. Okay, he started pulling my hood cap off, costing me. So I made up my mind, I'm not going to let him stay there now.
But
I'll wait until he get down
did
yeah.
what you're supposed to do. But if you fix the room up already, rent it to somebody else.
That's right.
It's an income.
Okay.
Somebody need it.
Yeah.
Do not, just because you give a person a chance, if they squander that chance, that's not on you.
That's right.
And sometimes, but when you decide to take action about what you chose here, of course you're gonna be a bad person. No, because it's not. If it's taking your hook out, is that a loss or a gain?
That's a loss, because that thing costs $150.
Okay. You see my
I
point?
talked to him nicely. Don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
First he said, I'm not doing it. I said, oh yeah, you doing it. And so he said, okay. So I saw my sister and said, well, now I done talked to him.
Yep.
Now if you do it again, I'm gonna tell LJ to go there with them brass knuckles and rub him up.
I ain't no saying you beat the whip. I said to them.
Yes, I said, you know, to me, she said, well, now you should turn over the hands of the Lord. That's when
No, if somebody is, if somebody's doing something,
you know, I want her to show
get that
them the
area.
brass knuckles and if you don't stop, this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you can only go so far. I mean, when you give somebody an opportunity, that's all you can do is do what? Give them an opportunity.
I think we made a terrible mistake as mothers, as we was raising our children, because we had a guilty complex with our children,
Yeah.
and we didn't do that hard part.
Yeah.
And today we get the repercussion of it. They laying on the couch, they playing the video game, they in the refrigerator, they done emptied the freezer, they done gas out the car. I mean, that's what we were supposed to get it with a burn.
But you know what? I done woke up and regroup.
Yeah.
Everybody
See, this is the time to do a reflection.
Okay.
And correct.
Okay.
I don't care how hard it is. I can go back to a story. Even with the prodigal son, the father never went looking for him. I'm quite sure he loved him.
Yes, sir.
I'm quite sure he loved him, but he never went looking for that prodigal son. He let him go out there to the school of hard knocks. And then when he came to himself, the dad was waiting on him. And see, that's what we have to do. Sometimes we have to let them go to the school of hard knocks.
I'm glad I can say no now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the most powerful word you can have. There was no.
Oh, I don't have you no more.
Yeah. It don't hurt now. It don't hurt now. Yeah, I mean, when you realize certain things, and you realize you're being used, and you cut them off, it don't hurt now. You go to bed, go to sleep.
That's right.
You can have peace about it. As long as you know, this is what I tell people. That's why I said earlier, don't be worried about what nobody else think, because they're not in the situation. It's easy for somebody that's not in the situation to tell you how to handle the situation. Okay? So as long as you know that you did everything that you could, then have peace about it and don't worry about what people say.
Amen.
Amen? Have peace about it.
Have peace.
Have peace about it. If you know that you give 100%, you're giving your all, you give a chance after chance after chance, and you decide to make a different decision, they're not in the house with you every day. They're not driving the car. They don't see your losses. All they can see is, what you're doing to that person, but they may not see what that person doing to you.
That's right. That's right.
You see my point? And so therefore, as long as you know that you're giving everything that you could, take a chill pill and be cool with it. Power to the people, ain't that right?
Power to the people.
When they come talk about, you did it, just like this here. Power to the people. So you don't know I did what I'm supposed to do, am I right?
That's right.
All right, let's look at Ruth. Another thing when he talks about, he give you the strength. He'll give you the strength to get wealth. Not only will he give you the ability, he'll give you the strength to get wealth. Okay? Let's look at Ruth 2 and 12. Luke 2 and 12. It says, the Lord recompense thy work, and full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. So, you know the story about Ruth. Even when, like I mentioned a little bit about that sign that she with Naomi lost everything. But she told Naomi, your God, wherever you go, I'll go. Your God will be my God. And so she came up under the trust of God. Even though Naomi was bitter, she still set a good example for Ruth. The trust of God. And God told her, and she did what? She ended up taking care of Naomi. And then God said, well, I'm going to recompense your what? Work. You see that part right there? What does it say? The Lord recompense thy work. When you working, and like we just talked about, you give it and you help people, God will pay you back. Recompense.
You'll be well paid.
You'll be well paid. And what happened with Ruth? Y'all know the story with Ruth. That Boaz recognized her work, and she ended up getting all the wealth that she could, because she was working hard. She was gleaning. And he saw how well, I want you to just look at her work ethic. You got to read the whole story. He also saw how well she took care of her mother-in-law. You invested in somebody else who you could have walked away. Because who was the girl that walked away from? There was Ruth, there was Naomi. And who was there with her? Oprah. Oprah was with her. Am I right? Oprah was with her. One of them went back. Said, look, you ain't got no more, you can't have no more sons. By the time you have some sons, I'll be old. She was gone. But the other one stuck with her. That's why, what are you saying? Don't worry about people that walk away. Worry about them in that state.
Yeah, God meant somebody in your life.
Yeah. And because she invested in her mother-in-law, Boaz, not only he knows her work ethic, he knows how well she took care of her mother-in-law. That was not even her own blood.
That plays a part when you take care of older people.
It plays a part, because God tells us to do that. God commanded us to take care of the older people. He commanded us to do that.
And the widows too.
But I can teach y'all.
Opinion now, Pastor.
I know, but see, I have to give y'all the teaching on widows indeed. There's some people that's widows indeed. But if you go and you research that scripture about widows, that's a widow that don't have family. Yeah, don't have family. They family.
What's wrong with having family and then they don't want to help you? Some people got family.
They are causing, they're breaking the law themselves. They're breaking the law themselves. Then it says, that's what I'm talking about, widow indeed. If their family is not stepping up to the plate, and they can go back to what it says when God says that the scriptures say, honor thy mother and thy father, and you say, well, if I'm giving my money somewhere else, you're making all the excuses. God telling them that they're breaking the principle that it don't make a difference what you think, that how much money you have, what you're doing with your money. The law says take care of your family, your mother, and your father.
Yes.
Okay? You're supposed to do that. Now, and then it says, I like this one. I heard this one this morning. Not this one, but I was studying on this one this morning. Isaiah 48 and 17. I like this one. I mean, this one here really, really jumped out when I read this. Not only did he he's going to show you how he gives you the ability to get wealth in this particular scripture. 48. Isaiah 48 and 17. Thus said the Lord thy Redeemer. Remember, a Redeemer, and when you find out, when you go back and you study the whole story about Ruth and Naomi, you'll find out that Boaz was actually their kinsman Redeemer. See, Christ is our Redeemer. Redeemer is somebody that bring you back out of a bad situation, or bring you out of poverty. They buy you back from when you were sold into slavery. So Christ became our Redeemer. The Lord became our Redeemer. Why? Because we were sold into sin, because of what Adam and Eve did. But he came and brought us back. He put us back, brought us back to be successful again. He brought us back and put us in the right family. Put us in the family where we need to be. When you live beneath your privilege, God brought you back to the privilege. Okay? That's what a Redeemer does. And this is what he said. Remember the Lord thy Redeemer. He redeems us from hard times. He redeemed us from being in bondage. There's a way of escape for everybody, but you got to take it. It says, verse 48 and 17 again says, thus said the Lord thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, I am the Lord thy God that teacheth thee to what? Profit. I'm the Lord thy God that teacheth thee to profit. So I'm going to give you the ability through teaching you how to profit. I guarantee you, Sister Betty, anybody else, with something that you do, there are so many times God teach me through the work that I'm doing.
Amen.
He ministers through you through the work that you're doing.
Yes, Lord.
If you're working in your yard, you're working in the garden, God will use that as an example of show you how he works. Am I right?
That's right.
I don't care what it is. Through your gift, God will teach you. Because what is he teaching you? I'm teaching you how to profit. God does not teach us how to lose.
That's right.
What did the scripture just say? I teach you how to what?
Yeah.
Is that word? Anybody believe the word?
Yeah, I believe the word.
I'm going to teach you how to profit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to teach you how to go up the road side of the mountain. I'm not going to teach you how to be broke. I'm going to teach you how to profit.
Yes.
In other words, I'm gonna show you how to make some money.
Yes.
I'm gonna show you how to be successful. I'm gonna show you how to have the finer things in life. Is that not God?
That's God. That's God. What more can you ask for?
What more can you ask for? If you stop talking when you pray and start listening, you'll get an answer on how to be successful, how to come out of whatever you want. Am I right? You will.
You're right.
You'll do it. Y'all know, come on. I know
Yeah.
y'all get the tabernacle. I know y'all know how you'll do it. He will. If you get quiet long enough, he can tell you, if you get quiet and get still and stop complaining, he can show you some things. Want to show you some things?
Yes,
He can show you some things.
Money,
Boy, he'll show you. Money, he'll give you a plan.
He will.
Want to give you a plan?
He'll do the answer.
That's right. He'll do it. And watch here. Which leadeth thee by the way that thou should go. It's the footstep of the righteous is guided by God. I'm going to lead you. I'm going to teach you how to profit, but as I teach you, I'm leading you somewhere. I'm going to lead you. You know, he always told people got into a land filled with milk and honey. God always take you to success. He never take you to lose.
Always
If
together.
you're going into an area that you're losing, that is not God. God does not take you somewhere to lose. He takes you to success. He takes you to profit. You know, that's why it's time to start evaluating some things that's taken away from you. This is the time to start pruning. Start cutting back. This is the season of what? Cutting back and evaluation.
And we have cut back, Pastor.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You learn.
Yeah.
One thing as black people, we always made it. You know what I'm saying? We always made it.
But more
You
people
know,
not
we, you
cutting
know,
back
we,
now than ever before.
yeah, yeah. Now let's look at this last scripture. Proverbs 8:8. And this here's gonna weigh into all the things that y'all were talking about. There is a point that you have to use wisdom. There's a point that you have to stop, use wisdom, and be strong and deal with that loss. Okay? Proverbs 8:8, verse 8 through 12. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. This is God talking. All the words of my mouth is in righteousness. There is nothing fraud or perverse in them. They are plain to him that understandeth. To him that what? Understands. Because the Bible says what? And all thy getting get what? And understand. And all that get understanding what's going on. That's why you need to study. You don't get an understanding by reading the Bible. You get an understanding by studying the Bible. Because studying reveals things to you what's really behind the scene, and God will talk to you as you study. And then it says, verse number 9, they are plain to him that understand, and right to them that find knowledge. That means I got to find knowledge? How do I find knowledge? By God teaching me? Don't I gain knowledge when God teaches me something?
Yeah.
I never lose. Always what?
Gain.
Okay. And then it says what? Now, verse 10, receive my instructions. Learn how to receive instruction, people. Receive my instructions, and not silver, and knowledge rather than get knowledge rather than choice gold. What he's saying, if we want to put into church, don't just go after it for the money. Go after it for the knowledge and the gain and what you learn, because that will gain money for you. Okay? And choice gold for what? For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that they may be desired are not to be compared to it. Our wisdom dwell with prudence, which is just being smart, cautious, not cautious, but using wisdom. Prudence is careful. Just don't get in a hurry and make quick decisions. Prudence. And find knowledge of witty inventions. Witty invention, ideas, concepts, things that work. God will show you concepts that work. Don't let your concepts be emotionally driven. Let them be God-given.
Yeah. Don't get anxious.
Don't get anxious. Because if God gives you something, be patient. Because God is doing more than just giving you money for a season. He give you a perpetual blessing that will continue to yield over and over and over and over again.
He will give you an overflow.
Overflow. Good measure. First down, shaking together, and running over. Watch this. What he called men to give unto your bosom. It don't make no difference who gives you, take the money. Amen? Take the money. Now, I ain't taking that dirty money. Well, send them over here to Bishop Thompson. I guarantee you I'll take it. Send them over here to me. If you think the money dirty, send it to me. Money ain't dirty by itself, but money is a defense.
That's right.
It's what you use it for. Amen? Amen. Yeah, everybody, well, I appreciate everybody came out tonight, and we had
It's so
good
good to be
input.
back in the house of the Lord.
Amen. But
Sister Easter got jealous. I said, well, I got a text Sunday, and they said that we was having church. She said, well, did nobody call me? Text me.
But her own daughter told me, my mama, you could be in the house with her, she still won't answer the phone, you standing right there next to her. But you're in the house though.
Well, I told her
But I said,
I'll be there Wednesday.
but I sent everybody a text.
She was asleep, Pastor.
She was asleep?
Yeah.
No, but you would wake up and see.
Yesterday I went and came to your woman. Knock.
Oh, Lord. Y'all good people, man. All right, let's go take up our offering, please. Let's take up our offering. Amen. You may bring your offering. And remember, Noe, am I still live streaming? Yeah, those who remember, you can cash out me and let me know where you want the money to go. If it's a word offering, or if you want to go into your tithes or your offering, cash out my name, or to contact Elder Lori or one of the elders. We'll make sure. One of the finance, Sister Tanya, Sister Wanda, let them know what you want to do with your tithes and your offering, your word offering. They have the.
And they will come by and pick it up.
Yeah, they will come out and pick it up. They will.
Y'all have a church Sunday though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, we'll be here. We'll have social distancing in place, so we'll be abiding by law. So we'll have to speak outside, we'll be
But you
here.
did have one lady sitting in the ditch
Yes, ma'am.
last Sunday listening to you.
Sure did.
Yeah, sure did.
You know, I'm like this here. I don't care if it's just one. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do.
That's right. And you have proved that, Pastor.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not looking for no numbers. Amen.
It's not about your
That's
crowd.
right.
It's not about the crowd.
That's why we can go to church every Sunday then.
Yeah.
Not to worry about all that.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen. We appreciate it. We also appreciate everybody that tuned in. Our live stream was great. You know, we'll get y'all for amen. Amen. We'll be here at 10 o'clock. We'll be here at 10, but we're not going to start. We'll be here at 10. What I want to do now,
So
since we don't have the choir and all that stuff in place, we'll be here at 10, and 10 can be a time that you come in for prayer meditation. And then we'll start the live stream, we'll start the service, we'll have somebody do the scripture of prayer, and then we'll start the live stream and the service. I start the word at 10:30. But from 10, I'll open up at 10, and we're going to be here for prayer meditation, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming out. Amen.
And thank you for the word.
You're welcome. DJ, you still hanging out?